So on the 16th of March 2019, I have walked to central London just to see, because Brexit stuff is starting to happen, and I just wanted to see if there were any protests, being like basically 2 weeks away from the 29th of March deadline. And didn't really see too much at first, but like as I got closer to Trafalgar Square, I started seeing people with the yellow vests on, and the Justice for Our Boys, and that kind of whole group, and that. So I followed them and saw they were having a small organization right outside of like Trafalgar Square, because it was all blockaded off. Trafalgar Square was before St. Patrick's Day. So I at first just stayed with this little group and just followed them, and they eventually started marching, and as they started marching, more and more people started to gather up, and it went crazy after a while. But yeah, here's the first little bit of footage.
Yeah, there wasn't many on Tuesday, but the first one, so when I went there. That was Mansfield or... You have to break the law. Or not the law, they have to break their own procedures, because they've already put in statute that we're limited to March.
At the end of it, I might hit 2 by 3. I get something. No, you can't.
marching for about 30 minutes towards Piccadilly Circus, and once they actually got at Piccadilly Circus, one man with the sign just he held out his hand and blocked off traffic. He went away from the actual main group. He went off by himself because people were conflicted on, should we go back towards Trafalgar Square, or should we go up Regent Street? And so yeah, he just held off traffic with his hand, stood in front of the car, and then everyone just sort of blocked traffic coming from Regent Street, and it just kind of became chaotic. And so I took the best advantage I could to get, I was standing on signs, like electrical boxes, all kind of stuff, just to show the footage of this massive group blocking off the street. People were pissed.
I'm not sure. So eventually the cops got everyone moving out the road, and they all started marching up Regent Street after that. And it was weird, like they had this confrontation between my friend that was also taking photos. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but I got a video of it, and it was weird. People just started showing up and getting involved with the protests on the side of the street, and kids started showing up. It was really weird. But also, like, this protest, the protesters that were there, like, some of them were like about this adoption thing, some of them about justice for our voice, some of them were about Brexit. And it was weird because you could hear them like shouting and screaming one thing, and then they'd start singing like a Brexit song, and then just going back and forth, and it got really confusing. And that's about the time I left, went back to Trafalgar Square.
So after I went back to Trafalgar Square, I had some time to kind of like get my stuff together and get ready, as there was another group coming that was almost like a counter-protest group, but not really, because there was a shooting a day earlier in New Zealand, the mosque, and so this whole massive group of Stand Up to Racism group came by, and it was the biggest protest gathering that I have ever seen. There were like, I don't know how to judge by numbers, but I would say like at least 5,000 people. There were so many people compared to like the Brexit protesters, who had maybe 200 to 500 at most. But when these guys came through, it was like as far as you can see, just people everywhere. And they had a stage set up for speeches and that. So they definitely outdid the other group.
Never again! Never again! Never again! Never again! Never again! Never again!
Because believe me, across Europe and beyond, we're seeing the rise of those who despise us and our alternative vision for the world that we stand for. And that's our fight. The fight against racism is the fight against austerity and what drives fear and despair in our communities and drives people to that nasty, vile message of hatred. And I just want to leave you with a message from New Zealand. I want to finish with a message to the likes of Yaxley Lennon and Batten and Bannon, who spew out their vile narrative of hate and division, and echo the words of the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. You may choose us, but we utterly reject and condemn you. You are not us. Well, comrades, they will never be us. They will never speak for us. They will go and rot in the gutter with their politics of hate. And comrades, that's our job, to sweep that gutter clean of those racists, those Islamophobes, all of those that preach hate and intolerance with their ideologies, and that's exactly what we intend to do. So solidarity, comrades.
Of the University and College Union, Peter Sangera.
Hello, I'm very, very proud to be here. University and College Union, obviously an academic union, and I've been running up and down the country, going onto various campuses and our universities, because of the rise of the right on our universities.
So I stayed with the Stand Up to Racism group for about an hour and a half. And by that time, they were still doing speeches, but they were just saying the same thing over and over again, just with different people. And all the crowd was dissipating as well. There weren't really that many people left there. So I was like, yeah, I got what I need. So I went back up Trafalgar Square before I left, and I saw that the pro-Brexit Yellow Vest people actually had made their way back around Trafalgar Square. I was like, wow. So I gravitated towards them, and I realized that, I noticed that on one side were the pro-Brexit Yellow Vest people, and on the other side of the street were like the anti-Brexit, stand up to racism type of people. And in the middle of them was like this super busy street, basically, with cars going past, and of course with the stoplights and stuff like that. But there were cops on each side making sure that they didn't run at each other, basically, through the street and get hit by cars and that. But as I got closer, I saw a photographer taking photos of the front line of all these people doing this protest. And so I decided to go in closer as well. Yellow Vest people didn't like that. So what happened was all these little kids are giving me the finger and screaming pedophile because I'm taking videos and photos of them, and they're cursing at me, and the mom is just going berserk. I don't know why, but it really showed you at that point neither side is really doing their cause justice. They're both acting like children, literally screaming at each other with a busy street in the middle. It's it was just so childish, and it really just made me think, wow, I don't want to support either side of this, because either side was guilty of just being mean to each other. But yeah, it's the main point at this point was the little kids acting just insane, and the mom being right there just encouraging it, basically, not caring. Yeah, here it is.
Just look at the people who advocate your movement. They're all fucking nuts. Leftists, wake up.
Children anyway. Who are you?
Brainwash.
Why are you filming
Go home and go home and have a watch.
Go home and find the real problems in the world.
Filming children.
Find the real injustices. That's all you can say! Shut up, Blondie! Go to the gym!
So thanks for watching. Quite a crazy day in all honesty, but I got what I got. I mean, I'm not trying to spin it any kind of way in terms of left or right, pro-Brexit, anti-Brexit type of thing. It's just I captured what happened, and I think it speaks for itself. It just got dumb at the end, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be more to come.